Authoritarian states can be more united during the war. While democratic countries always have voices of opposition in the country, sometimes it will distract the country's energy. During peacetime, democratic countries have to worry about elections which generate internal friction, while authoritarian states never have to worry about that. For instance, imagine the US is having a war with China. And the US can win this war, but this is gonna be a brutal war. The US will have 1 million deaths and China will have 100 million deaths. Then there will be people who think we should give up on that war because it cost too many deaths. Even if China was wrong and we were right. There will be anti-war protests on the street to encourage us to negotiate instead of fighting. And we should give up a lot of national interest to get peace. There are even people who sympathize with the Chinese. And those people are allowed to go on the street and protest, which will cause great interference to the troops on the front line. In authoritarian countries like China, people are united together, and the media only works for the government. The government can make people think whatever they want and feel whatever they want. Have you ever wondered why America could beat the Empire of Japan in only 4 years during World War II? But we can't beat a little northern Vietnam for 10 years? The answer is internal divisions. We were able to be united during World War II because of one sentence, remember Pearl Harbor? We think we were attacked, and we revenge for justice. Everyone put aside all other conflicts. All conflicts between political parties, races, rich and poor, and we all united to fight Japan. However, during the Vietnam War, the anti-war protests occurred domestically. Anti-Vietnam War protests were everywhere. A lot of them were violent. Burning the flag also happened during that time, so it's nothing new. So the US. The government failed to control domestic public opinion. Soldiers on the front line are disturbed by domestic political unrest. So we lost. What even worse is your enemy knows your weaknesses, and they will try to infiltrate your domestic opinion. And social media makes it easier. Authoritarian countries can easily take advantage of the freedom of speech in democratic countries and spread opinions that are beneficial to themselves in democratic countries. It's called using democracy to destroy democracy, but not the other way around. As you can see, China has a huge internet army to spread negative opinions against the US. Because most people don't know that those are Chinese doing it, they may somehow be influenced by it. Those information war may control public opinion on a lot of decisions in democratic countries. The second disadvantage that democratic country has against the authoritarian countries is the internal friction of politics. For example, the US election in 2020 was the most expensive election in the history of mankind. The US has spent $14.4 billion on the 2020 election, which is higher than a lot of countries' GDP in a year. All that money is used in internal strife, which costs nothing to the enemy. There are people's families got divided, people who lost their jobs, and even lost their lives due to domestic political strife. Democratic countries need to spend a lot of time and energy dealing with domestic political struggles, which will reduce their national strength. Our enemies love to say these happen. They love to see us fighting among ourselves. Authoritarian countries, relatively speaking, never have to worry about these things. For example, President Trump made great contributions to diplomacy in the Middle East in 2020, and even the Democrats have to acknowledge his contribution to diplomacy. However, Democrats hate the fact he got anything good done. Nancy Pelosi even called his achievement a distraction from the mess he caused domestically. So from the perspective of the opposition party, the ruling party will not do anything good. If you do something good, it is a distraction. If you do something bad, it is bad. They just do not want to see the opposition party do anything that may make people like them. I'm not trying to support Trump. This can happen in any party. What I'm trying to say is in democratic countries, the biggest enemies are first, domestic political enemies, and then foreign enemies. After President Trump left office, he participated in an interview with Fox News and said that the most difficult enemy to deal with is not China, North Korea, or Russia, but the Democratic Party inside the US. And the US is not the worst country on this. Most democratic countries have it worse. For example, South Korea, the opposition party will oppose any bill that the ruling party supports and will support any bill that the ruling party opposes. Vice versa. They do not care about the truth or the country. The only thing they want is to sabotage their political enemy. This kind of vicious competition of democracy may be even worse than dictatorship. Authoritarian countries, in comparison, never have to worry about these things. Those countries are easier to be united against their foreign enemy, and if any citizen dares to oppose the government's agenda, they will get locked up. I am not advocating a dictatorship. A dictatorship has bigger problems. For example, their leaders may become tyrannical. He only got yes men around him because anyone who dared to say no had all get executed. I'm just saying democracy has some precondition. You can't have democracy with a virulent culture and low-quality citizens. Dictatorship is better in that situation. I will talk more about the precondition of democracy in other videos. Thank you for listening.